Welcome, Warrior. We've got a lot to cover, and we've got about 30 minutes because today, in 30 minutes, and I suggest all of you go to dirtydozenlist.org because today is the 2026 launch of the 12 entities that are exploiting our children and all people online and in real time. And it's an annual campaign put forth by the National Center on Sexual Exploitation, great colleagues of ours. So again, that is dirtydozenlist.org. Let's get to it. Let's have a roll call. I see Edie's here. I see Fred is here. Welcome to our lunch live. I would like to be eating, but I don't want to eat and talk at the same time. But please have your salad, have your sandwich. I want to just make a comment and say the real war going on right now is something I've been saying for years, and that is there is a war on for our children. That is the real war here in America, certainly also around the globe, but we're focused right here in America. I want to make sure all of you can hear, can see. Okay, I see Lionel Nation alive and perfect. Great. Edie also 5x5. Edie, I always have to call you out for welcoming everyone and saying for being here, number one. For number two, your fantastic artwork that you send along that we share with our survivors, our victims, right? Thank you, Elise. We love you too here at the Warriors. And also for always reminding everybody to hit that like button. Again, helping with those pesky algorithms. But what I want to say to you right now is we've got to go deep into sharing this information, building up memberships, getting the word out, doing whatever we can do to face right now AI, artificial intelligence. Because that, just recently, we have a deep dive into what's going on in the classrooms. So as there's this tremendous, all of a sudden in our faces launch to put this in K through 12 across the country, nobody is prepared for this. And have we not? I ask this question, have we not learned anything from history? We now know from 30 years of big tech, right? From these platforms, we have learned, and now we have proof, right? We even have 2 trials recently that held big tech, Meta in particular, responsible for harming children, okay? So let's review. Why would we just launch AI, artificial intelligence, into our classrooms? The children aren't prepared. The teachers aren't prepared, and the parents aren't prepared. So we are calling on everybody at the Warriors to come together. We don't want AI ruling us and our children, right? We want to rule it. We want to have a say at the table because the history of big tech is they do not, as of 2026, I don't care what glossy press releases they put out, what they say, what safety features they tell you they have, this, that, and the other thing. I am here to tell you most of their safety features do not work correctly, and that would be over 2/3 of them. Okay, that's just a fact. Second, I'm here to tell you that they lie in front of Congress. We saw Mark Zuckerberg and others, testify. We know these are lies because in the last week's court trial in LA, when Mark Zuckerberg testified, he said, we don't put out a harmful product. And I'm kind of, bottom lining it here because it gets involved, it gets complex, it gets boring. But the bottom line is he knowingly put out a product as CEO of that company, which is Facebook and Instagram. There are internal memos. There are whistleblowers. Nothing was done when they came forward about all of this, sounding the alarm, as we like to say at the Warriors. So why would we trust anything being put out by these major companies, in particular Sam Altman, OpenAI, also Mark Zuckerberg? Their biggest investments right now, it's not in Facebook and WhatsApp and, X and all of these platforms. It's in artificial intelligence. And our children are once again being used as guinea pigs. Thank you, Missy Mintz. Please weigh in because we have to get a hold of this. We didn't know with social media, right? 1996, we had MySpace. We had 2 platforms then. We thought it was fun. Remember, Facebook was initially launched just to universities to connect with fellow students and friends. It started very friendly and then it grew, okay? And then it was put into everybody's hands. Here we are 30 years later. There is a piece of legislation saying sunset Section 230, which so far has, letting big tech, I talk about it all the time, run amok, saying you're you're can't be responsible for third-party content. You're a billboard, a newsstand, okay? When in actuality, I'm going to put that link also back to a story after this video when we're done. Section 230 was originally, okay, created to protect kids. I know that's hard to believe because it's been the exact opposite. And so now, 30 years later, it has never been amended. Never anything until now, recently, this piece of legislation, sunset Section 230. So we're working on all of that, the Warriors with Washington, and we're very hopeful about that. But in the meantime, we now also, the importance of those two trials, back-to-back verdicts of guilty last week. First, New Mexico, for consumer protection laws, allowing children on a platform with predators. That was the first thing. The second thing is California. You designed a harmful product. You knowingly did this, product liability. This case was held in particular on purpose in California because the one thing California has is very strong product liability laws. Look, if I like to point out, if something, look at all these recalls we have, right? You know, something doesn't work, there's a recall. Something you eat, something in it, there's a recall. Why? There's no regulation. There's nothing with big tech. So now we're faced with AI being launched. So I just want to, sorry, I have the sniffles, everybody. We've got this spring weather coming, and I guess I left my Kleenex somewhere else. But why are we trusting big tech at all? What the history is, they don't do anything. Their bottom line is profit over people. That's what you need to know. So going into the classrooms, we're asking for some sort of, stop. We have to take a pause. We have to have proof now. We have to have more studies. How will this affect children, teachers, the education system, all of us? And none of this is being done. And so I am glad to stand forth and say there's a tremendous backlash. It's brewing underneath. It's coming out into the public, where we can't have this in the classrooms. And that's where I call on you warriors to get involved. If you're a caregiver, if you're a parent, if you're a grandparent, to understand, to go into those schools respectfully, find out what they're teaching, what they know, because I'm here to say, we talk to a lot of teachers across the country, and this is being thrown at them as well. Let me just see something. I saw a nice comment. Are parents not the first and best teachers for their own offspring? You can't teach the person that came out of you. First of all, let's get something straight. First and foremost, no piece of legislation, no government involvement, because we don't want government overreach. We don't, listen to what I have to say. No piece of legislation replaces parental involvement. Okay, it starts in the home. At the same time, the playbook for big tech has been their only comeback, especially in this case in California, because they had nothing. There were internal memos. There were laughing at kids and saying they're a herd. There was an internal memo that said the life of a child on our platform Meta is worth $270. Did you hear what I just said? $270, right? And they were joking about it and all kinds of things, right? So yes, it starts in the home, but the playbook for big tech is we're going to blame the parents. We're going to blame everything on the parents. You cannot blame the parents. We have to say we have to talk to the parents. Yes, parents, you have to step up and do a better job. Yes, parents, I can't dictate to you. I can suggest, I can give you tools, I can give you resources, but it is a full complex situation that we all must come on board. And when we get to a point like this, why should big tech, AI in particular now, because that's all I'm going to be talking about, that's what I want to talk about, why should they be allowed now? A handful of CEOs coming out of Silicon Valley to rule to us what is going on. And they're deeply embedded, as I speak, in the government right now. It's we the people. I don't want to hear we can't do anything. We all in our home and community have to step up. So yes, parents, you are responsible to understand what's going on, to talk to your kids, and to take action. And you buy these devices, then you have a duty to put protections on them, talk about it, understand what's going on. I don't want to see, we know our education system, and let me recommend, go back and look at my interview I did with Chris Pabst, investigative reporter for Fox 45 in Baltimore. He spent 8 years investigating the City of Baltimore, Public Schools, Education System, Board of Ed. It is a terrific read. It's called Failure Factory. Now, not only does it apply to Baltimore, what he lays out in the book applies to our nation. And we know K through 12, every state is failing academically, failing literacy. I was glad to see yesterday our second lady, Usha Vance, put out her literacy program and podcast, starting with very young children and reading to them and having them read to us. This is something, it's been going on for decades, right? But we know from that COVID period how everything just fell off the cliff, right? I think we can all agree to that. So Edie says you can homeschool. Well, here's the problem with homeschooling. Homeschooling is a terrific. I know a lot of homeschooled kids. It's out in the norm now. It's something that I'm thinking back 20, 30 years ago. It was kind of considered like weird if you homeschooled and kids need socialization. I'm all for it. If you can create that environment of, but I always say, like I say to my husband, I really think a child needs not this 6, 7 hours, running from classroom to classroom, and kids get tired, and early in the morning for kids, especially our teens, it's proven like, 7 o'clock in the morning is a little too early for them to start school with their developing brains. But anyway, if we could have, which we have here in New York, I know of them, these learning pods. So as an example, it will be something like, fourth, fifth, and sixth grade mixed together, could be 70 kids. And they travel from apartment to apartment. They maybe spend a total of 2.5 hours during the day academically, very concentrated, which I love. And then they spend perhaps 2.5 hours art, music, museums, little field trips around the city, history, all kinds of hands-on things, sports, definitely dance. I think that is a well-rounded child. I think you can accomplish something like that, whether you homeschool, you're part of a learning pod. I think in our environment today, that's the way it should be, right? And so we like homeschooling, but remember, not everybody can do it. I know a lot of single moms have 2, some of them 3 jobs. There's no way they can homeschool. However, I like to point out, for instance, here in New York, find out what your community offers. See if now I'm just saying this because let's leverage the internet for good. There are Facebook groups that I know a lot of women and some men have met terrific groups in their communities, right? So see if there's something, moms, grandmas in your area that's a Facebook group, and ask questions, kind of thing, and share the information, because maybe there's a learning pod, in your town, in your community. I have a lot of hope, though, that, our alpha generation, and that's those born in 2010, so they're young, right? The oldest they could be right now is 16. We have studies. They return to libraries. They are reading books. They are going back to church or synagogue. They are putting down the devices. So there is that pendulum swinging back and giving us a lot of hope. Because just look at the headlines. I am inundated on a daily basis with these kids, these headlines going. I probably get much more than you get from around the country, around the world, perhaps because I'm in this sort of media warriors biz, right? But look at all these angry teens that are wilding. I think that's what it's called. These teen takeovers that they promote, like on TikTok, Snap. And then they take over malls, they take over stores, they take over convenience, stores at gas stations. They wreck, they ruin. There's so much anger. And look at also all of our young people that are committing horrific crimes. I dare say, now I'm not an expert, and we didn't have the internet, right? I don't think all these kids were committing crimes like this 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, doing away. Remember, we have algorithms here. I got to be careful sometimes with words. Doing away with family members, harming their siblings in unimaginable ways, okay? All of this familial trafficking we have going on. Because remember, the public still thinks that it's a stranger, okay? Stranger danger, which we all grew up with and taught our kids. Most of the trafficking is done by a person that this child or teen knows. a family member, a family friend. Oh, that's my little beep reminding me 15 minutes to dirtydozenlist.org. I'd like all of you to go on that for the release. I want to see what the 12 entities are, because there are certainly hundreds of entities, but these are the top 12 that are exploiting our children and all people. Hillbilly said something good. Let me see if I can. Big tech will do nothing without being forced. Again, that goes back to we at the Warriors. We don't want, government in our business and telling us what to do. But when there's nothing left, big tech is going to have to be forced into something. And the only thing people have to remember, because people are like, yay, we had 2 wins last week, and yay, Meta held responsible, and Mark Zuckerberg. First of all, 375 million and then 600 million, right? 2 different cases. That's a drop in the bucket. No, I'm not poo-pooing it. I'm just saying that's nothing for them. I've always said for the last year, my fear is Facebook and all these platforms, they'll pay off even billions of dollars in settlements and things like that, because their focus has been on AI. So they don't care about all that. And the other thing is, this is just the beginning. This is not the end to anything until Mark Zuckerberg, until these companies are financially, where their wallets, their pocketbooks, right, whatever you want to call it, are really affected, and they lose, nothing is going to change. So we have to have, and I'm encouraging all of you to be warriors and join me, a full-on attack. Again, we learned from what happened to our kids and all of us, these internet addictions, this infinite scrolling, feeding dangerous algorithms to our kids, allowing harassment. I mean, on a daily basis, people write the most horrific things to me. Now, I'm an adult. They would never say it to my face, but they can hide behind a screen. So can you imagine a child, a teen, the pile-on, right, of horrible things? And the kids are harming themselves. They're not mentally able to fight it off. They'd rather do away with themselves. This is unheard of. So we have to have a full-on attack appropriately, where we are going into the schools and finding out what's going on here, what's being taught, talking to the kids. What are you learning? What are you hearing? You bought the device. Make sure you talk to your kids about, safety features, filters. That, again, look, an iPhone has 31 steps. I've told you before, most parents get to step 10, 11. They say, forget it, too difficult, to just be safe on the phone. That is not a warrior's move, because we have to try everything. And I told you about a little over 2/3 of the safety features and filters do not work, but there's still a percentage that have a little help. So we got to do everything in our power. Look, there's plenty of free resources and help. I always direct you towards protectyoungeyes.com. Our great colleague and friend, Chris McKenna, he lays out every single device, platforms, steps, how to put the safety features and filters on, okay? I mean, even YouTube, you could ask and get a tutorial on basically anything. But right now we are at, I truly believe, a moment in history, and that is AI, that is artificial intelligence being forced on us. And we've got to stand up to this, okay? We have to have ethical technology. We work with a lot of ethical tech people, good people. There are ways to use AI to really empower our kids, to empower all of us, not take away from our children's, critical thinking and analysis, not take away from their developing relationships. I mean, the most ridiculous thing is you're going to have a robot in your home, and it's going to teach your child one-on-one, and that way your child, the program can be, for your child's abilities. Absolutely not. That is further isolation. I don't think anybody here would agree to any of that, okay? But we have to also get back to, again, I'm going to go back to, use the internet for good, or these platforms. See if there's some sort of Facebook group that is about education in your town, is about just moms groups, dads groups, all of that. Because again, the real war is on for our children. And there's also a war, and the media doesn't even cover it. There is a group of women now. There have been men like Charlie Kirk and all that, but I'm focused right now on what's happening now. There's a wonderful young mom, Emma Waters. They're promoting it's okay. You can want to just get married and have kids and raise them and make a family and take care of your home. Well, what's wrong with that? Because I grew up in the as a teen, and you can have it all, and that whole Gloria Steinem thing, in New Jersey, which we were in New York a lot. So I grew up in that bubble. And frankly, uh, we're not telling anybody what to do or not do, but what's wrong with saying, get married, have kids, build a home? I think that is the hardest job in the world, is being a parent. I really do. And today we're sitting here talking about AI, artificial intelligence, when our K through 12, every state, every grade is failing in proficiency. Okay. And getting back to Usha Vance with her reading, okay, and I like her. I don't know her. I would like to meet with her. I would like to see her do more, right, with her position as second lady, or SLOTUS, as her handle is on X. Um, as she pointed out, and the research shows, fourth grade, 31% are proficient in reading. 31%. Think of all the other kids that aren't. Eighth grade, 38%. So now we have AI, which we know will replace jobs, replace everything. I don't care what they tell you, right? But AI has to work for us. And that's when I recommend, there's just the launch last week, which we proudly support and are part of, the Alliance for a Better Future, betterfutureai.org. Again, I'll link that in the body of this. I mean, join the fight. We want AI the American way. We don't want these CEO elitists who are on record of saying, we don't allow our own children to go on social media. Oh, but it's good enough for all of our kids and grandkids? I don't think so. So it's really time to step up. I know I always talk about that. I know that our mission is education, is utilizing the media. But please go back and look at some of these interviews. I have mom, Joanne Bogard, with her beautiful son, Mason, and what happened to him online. Please watch, please share these videos. Later on today, mom, Lori Schott, beautiful daughter, Anna Lee. What a pill online, right? Didn't wake up. Okay. Going back to Mason, Joanne's son. The only thing he liked, we're watching some videos and things like that. And what I want to point out about both these parents, and I want to add, go back and look at Brian Montgomery, dad, and his son Walker, is that they all were in households that talked about online safety, what to do if somebody comes after you, what if somebody asks you for an image, sexual dialogue. Let's put the safeguards on the phones, on the laptops. They did everything right that we always preach about, right? And still, today, their children are no longer here. And there's thousands across our country. Many you'll never hear from because people want to bury this. They don't want to talk about it. The trauma, the damage. So when I say the real war is on for our children. Oops, these comments just started coming. I'm just starting to see things. Lisa Chan says, it's my 64th birthday today. It's wonderful to not only be blessed to be alive, that God put you in this position to save and rescue any and all children. My heart is so full of your kindness. Lisa, thank you so much. And happy, happy birthday. Happy, happy birthday. I am here because I'm able to do it. And I am honored to represent parents and families and get in there and fight for legislation and fight at the community level and give people resources and take actions and open up your ears and eyes as to what's going on. But have a wonderful, wonderful birthday. Let's all say happy birthday to Lisa right now. Let's share it. Come on, everybody. This lags a little bit, but let's go. CDOA says kids spend less than 3 hours a week in physical presence of the parent. I'd have to research that. I don't know the exact stat with that. Everything I talk about on the Warriors is I can back up with a study or something well vetted. So, Edie, you're fine. Look, we're surrounded by, don't you, even when I go on Facebook now, I've got this AI companion I have to keep Xing out. We're just inundated with it. Autocorrects. How many of you send a text? And if you don't proofread it, I invariably get like a word wrong. That they are doing because you put the first few letters in and they finish it for you. And so again, that's part of our kids If it's doing that for us, it's doing that for them. So they're not learning to spell. I want to finish with your homework is start thinking about AI, start reading about it, share this video. Please, linswarriors.org. I owe a newsletter. It will go out tomorrow, I promise, because I want to put some of these interview links on the newsletter. That's what I've been waiting for, so you can see them. Go to our website, linswarriors.org. Scroll down on the right side. Please sign up for that because information is key. Things you're not hearing in regular, I dare say, cable news, probably also online. A couple of other things I point out is Failure Factory, the book by investigative reporter Chris Pabst. You know where to buy books. We support independent bookstores. Please try to do that. I know Amazon is easy. I'm a victim of it also because it's easy to order things and have them delivered, but we have to, support our small bookstores. And the good news is across this country, in the past 8 months, I recently saw a report. We've had close to 200 independent bookstores. No, we had close to 200, including some Barnes & Noble, new ones, Barnes & Nobles, spring up across America. So what does that tell us? Back to books, back to reading. With your kids, reading, literacy, that is what is going to make all the difference and empower their brains. And artwork lets them create and think, explore music with them, okay? And also, I'm proud to say that tomorrow there's a company that has taken off with all the teens and a lot of people called Little Words Project. And the Lynn's Warriors has been selected as one of their nonprofits that they are developing. They're little beaded bracelets with all kinds of words of encouragement, empowerment, and all the kids collect them and pile them on, and adults do it as well. And we have been selected for the month of April to be their nonprofit of the month. I will have that link up tomorrow. It gets launched at 7 a.m. That directly supports all of our missions of education, of going into the communities and feeding people, of empowering with our Wonder Girls group, our youth, right? All of the work we do, all of our travels to DC, our travels around the country. So look for the Little Words Project. I am honored that they have chosen Lynn's Warriors as their nonprofit of the month to focus on and showcase around our great country. So we have that going on. And also, I want to sign off in about a minute because I want all of you now to go to dirtydozenlist.org and see what these 12 entities are. We are here to come together. Truly, our hashtag is Community Creates Change. Your take action for today is Kids Online Safety Act. We're still fighting for our Senate version, 1748, and still fighting for our president to recognize this and to also put this into motion that we can get it out of the House where it's stuck with the dust on top of it and get back to our Senate version, the gold standard with the duty of care. That big tech has a duty of care before anything harmful goes on their platforms. Don't allow it. It's kind of a simple request, everybody. And now that we have these two cases that are in our favor and recognizing there is known harm, okay, things are going our way. So with that, 79 degrees in New York City today, everybody, happy spring. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for your donations, your volunteering, your supporting, your goods, your services. I am honored and humbled. Now let's all go to dirtydozenlist.org and we'll come together in the next few days. Have a good day, everybody, or night, depends where you are. And remember, when you wake up each and every day, go out and be a warrior.